is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight it's Ask Us Anything night, so call in your questions on any legal topic. Maybe you're thinking about New Year's Eve parties and you're going to have people over and you're planning to serve alcohol because that's what people do. What if one of your guests drinks and drives and causes an accident? Are you responsible? Or maybe you got a Christmas present that you're kind of wondering about the safety of it. Call in your product's liability kind of questions. The 31 Law Call number 256-536-0077. You can call in and be live on the air. We're really here live answering your questions. You can also text if you're a little shy. You text it to the same number. And you can also email questions. Any legal question, any day of the week, you send it to lawcall@waytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got some of your email questions tonight. We've also got Michael Timberlake from Timberlake, League & Brooks. Good to have you here.
No, I'm great to be here.
Great to be here. Ready for the new year.
Yeah, I've spent my entire Christmas break thinking about this show.
This show, you're getting ready for it.
And the questions that I'm going to get.
Okay. You got predictions?
Yeah. I'm preparing to provide answers.
Wonderful. Because we've got questions, we've got ideas. And while you call in or while you text in your questions, we've got a video for you tonight. If you're out on the highway, time to be thinking about being careful.
Oh, it's like headed straight into Governor's Drive at 4 o'clock.
And there's somebody who miscalculated. And then we're going to have another one that's a different kind of, same sort of thing though, somebody pulling in front of somebody else. You guys do personal injury cases all the time.
Sure.
And this has got to be one of the most common ones. A T-bone, though, can be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, honestly, well, one thing is that I've noticed in the 30 years that I've been doing this is that the severity of injuries has gotten a lot less dramatic in the last 10 years with all the safety, with the airbags,
really? Wonderful.
With all the safety equipment in the newer vehicles, which is great for people. You know, but in terms of just, you know, these types of wreck, this is, you know, what you see a lot. You see either people at a traffic at an intersection that fails to abide by a traffic control device, or somebody that just, you know, is going the other direction and for whatever reason does not see the other car. They may be distracted by a phone or something in the vehicle, or like I said, on Governor's, you know, if you're, you know, headed west at 4 o'clock, it is very, very difficult to see.
Yes.
But even if the sun's in your eyes, even if there are environmental conditions, rain, fog, whatever, you still have the obligation to operate your vehicle safely, and you just can't take a left turn in front of somebody into the lane of traffic, violate the right of way without being absolutely certain that you can make that turn.
Are you seeing anything improved with accidents? You know, they've tightened down on people texting and driving and being on their phones in a lot of municipalities. We thought that would make a big difference if we had laws. Are you seeing much difference?
I mean, I think it's you've got to have the laws because in that way, nobody's gonna, people are gonna think it's acceptable, but we really haven't seen a difference. Anecdotally, you see people looking at their phones while they're driving all the time, on the interstate, in town, whatever. Their devices, there's CarPlay, there's devices so you don't need that, but unfortunately in society, it's been hard for us to move on from that. And what a large part of what we do when we look at these cases is we want to know, was your phone active? Where was it? We can, you can basically pinpoint whether somebody was on their phone or not at the time of an impact.
From the data, and you can get that.
Oh yeah, we can get that.
We've got callers waiting. We've got Larry on the line with a question from Tennessee. Hi Larry, thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Is there a statute of limitation on a promissory note?
Statute of limitation? On a promissory note?
Well, it would be, typically, if a promissory note's contract, it's going to be, from the point that 6 years from the breach of that contract. But I think on a promissory note, if they don't pay, you have the right to bring that action. And the question's going to be that, there's equitable doctrine, like latches, which is a fancy word for saying, hey, you just ignored this. You just waited too long. But I think in general, you're probably going to be dealing with 6 years from the date of the breach, that it was obvious they weren't paying.
Okay. We've got Jim on the line with a question from Rogersville, Alabama. Hi, Jim. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Well, I appreciate that.
Sure.
I have a commercial property in Limestone County, and they've recently put up some commercial storage units, and the water is coming off their rooftops and it's draining onto my property and causing some erosion issues.
Okay.
And I just wondered if I could get some advice on how to handle that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we don't see a lot of water cases, riparian cases, in our area because it's just not that one of those things that's that popular. But in general, you cannot improve your property and then have it direct water flow or property onto another person's property. You have to address that water flow. So if there are improvements, if the roof or the structure that they built, or even berming or the grading of a property, so that it directs water onto your property, that is not something that's allowed under the law. So the question is, what do you do about it? First thing is you approach them and say, hey, this is improper. You're directing water onto my property from your property. There's no proper drainage. See if you can cooperate in terms of trying to come up with a solution. If that's not the case, then you can file for an injunction and ask them to, one, stop the water from being directed onto your property, and two, make sure it doesn't happen in the future. And if it's an injunction and injunctive relief, sometimes you can get attorney's fees, but we hope it don't get to that point.
Yeah. We got this email question from Jason. Jason is asking about buying something off of eBay. I purchased something from an eBay seller for close to $200 in October. They never sent my item, and they've ignored 10 messages asking for an update. They've also ignored eBay when they reached out. I feel that this seller stole my money, and I want to file theft charges against them. I want eBay to give me their name and address so I can call their local police and report them. Is that possible? And how would I go about something like that? $200. You're working hard for $200.
You're working really, really, really hard for $200. I'm not sure what the agreement is with eBay, but I know with a lot of other selling companies, basically there's an escrow provision where basically when you sell something, you provide confirmation that you've delivered it. They've already put that money in escrow, basically with that company. And once they have provided, confirmed they've received the property, then you get paid. That's the best way to go about it. A lot of these companies have insurance or whatever; they will deal with it. But for $200, I'm not sure that it's going to be worth, any kind of legal remedy. And you don't have jurisdiction over somebody that's out of state.
Somewhere else, so you
Right.
can't take it to the local
No,
DA's
you
office.
can't go down to the municipal court and sue
Okay.
them.
We've got Nicole on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, I have a problem with my home. I have a title and a deed is in my name, and I've been forced out of my home from someone claiming that the house is theirs.
Okay.
And my family was living in my home, and I'm just trying to see what kind of help can I get to try to process to get somebody that can defend my home.
What are they telling you, Nicole? Are they saying that they bought it or that they owned it before you did? What are they claiming?
They saying they own it.
I mean,
they forced my family out.
Right. So it's a situation where it's been transferred, the deed's been transferred by somebody, or that it's been foreclosed on?
It's been transferred falsely. It's a fraud.
Okay, so you're possibly looking at a fraudulent transfer. So basically what you would have to do is you'd have to hire an attorney to file a quiet title action to basically determine who has the rightful title of that property. If it was theft by deception, if it was unlawful, then the district attorney can get involved in that case and press charges against the offenders. But in this situation, the more important thing is that you confirm that you have title to the house, and that's going to take a legal, real estate lawyer to file a direct action against the other party to confirm that you have title to the house.
They're telling us to take a break. We've got callers waiting, so if you're on the line, Debbie, stay on the line. We'll be right back. We're going to take a break. It's Ask Us Anything night.
Watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of attorney Michael Timberlake. Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. It's Ask Us Anything night. Michael Timberlake's here from Timberlake League and Brooks. We were just talking about Will out skiing in a place where there's no snow.
That's a whole different
That's
set
a different
of
problem.
legal problems.
You have something coming up with your family that is so cool. Your dad says he's going to retire.
My dad's he turned 90 in October. He's been practicing law for almost 65 years in Huntsville, Alabama, and he says this is it. He's retiring at the first of the year.
That is so cool, and that's a picture from when he first started.
That was his announcement in the Huntsville Times when we still had newspapers, and he was hired by a firm on May 7th, 1962. He wrote it in there, and that was his picture when they hired him and announced it in the newspaper. And then this was a recent picture of us
you guys together
for the bar composite.
He's a good-looking 90. There's so much technology that's changed over the years. Young people don't realize that. So we're Gen X. We feel like we've had to learn everything multiple times, right? We learned from paper up to word processing to digital. Your dad has gone through learning things so many different times to be able to do it and still do it. Sharp guy.
I mean, it's just it's. The way that it's changed is just incredible, and the way they used to do things, and the time that they took to do things, and a lot of it. But most of the most important thing he would tell you is it's a personal relationship with whoever your client is. Make sure you establish a relationship with that person. Make sure you're honest. Make sure you do a good job for him. And he's done that for a long, long time, and I appreciate all his help.
I hope we can still be doing it. I hope that we can keep up with the changing times as well as he has. We've got Debbie on the line with a question from Fort Payne. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for waiting. What's your question tonight?
Hello. Thank you for taking my question.
You're welcome.
I bought my house about 12 years ago, and I'm the only person on the deed or the loan, and my fiance lives with me, and I want to know what I need to do to go to make sure that he'll have a place to stay if something happens to me.
Okay.
I'd like for him to be put on the deed also.
Gotcha.
Right. Well, I mean, there's different ways you can go about that. If probably the easiest thing to do is just to go meet with an attorney, talk about a will in terms of trying to pass down whatever assets that you may have. You can change the deed and make him a joint tenant and or make him have right of survivorship in the property, but you're basically giving him half of the property at this point in time. The problem with that is it can be a taxable event, and the other problem with that is y'all are not married, so that it could, somebody could change their mind. So you don't want to, go probably to that step. But if you do want to take care of him in case something happens to you, a will is a perfectly good reason or good opportunity to do that.
We got a text question in. Somebody's asking, is the HOA, the Homeowners Association, liable if somebody vandalizes your property in a gated community that was supposed to have security?
Yeah.
Can you get the HOA for that?
Well, I mean, a lot of these situations, it depends on what what are the representations that the HOA was supposed to do? What are they contractually obligated to do in terms of providing security? What does that mean? In general, what we see in tort law and civil law, which is what we do, is that criminal conduct of a third party, somebody who's not the HOA, not the homeowner, is not going to be something that you're going to be able to make a claim on. You can sue the person who's responsible for the criminal conduct, but it's typically what we call non-foreseeable to a third party. So the HOA would not be held liable for the criminal conduct of a third party under those situations unless they knew it was going to happen. So if you've got a situation where you've got a known gang of kids that are robbing a neighborhood,
and it keeps happening.
It keeps happening, and the HOA knows about it and supposed to provide security, then you can maybe make a claim.
Okay. We've got Tula on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Tula. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight? Hey, Tula. Are you with us? Tula from Huntsville?
Yes.
Hi there. What's your question tonight? Thanks for being with us.
My question is, I bought some property at a state sales tax,
Okay.
at a estate sale, and I bought it in 2009. Well, in 2018, I found out that the property was not supposed to be sold at all. And to make the story short, the city requires me to cut grass. Now, I paid taxes on it up until 2018.
Okay.
That's what brought it to my attention. So I found out that the property was not supposed to be sold at all.
All right.
I said, well, give me my money back. She said, it's been too long.
Been too long, they won't give you your money back.
Yeah,
Ideas?
I mean, it's a real fact-specific real estate problem that you've got. If it's a real estate transaction, when the transaction occurred, you should have had a deed that was put in your name. You can't transfer the property out of your name unless there's a deed transferring the property. So you're going to have to look at, one is that you're going to have to look at, if it was a tax sale, if you assumed ownership of the property because you were paying the taxes, there could be a loophole there that I'm not aware of. But you're going to need to talk to an attorney that does real estate on a regular basis to solve that problem.
Good luck with it too, Lo. And we've got Jamie on the line with a question from Florence. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, ma'am. My daddy died, and he wanted somebody to put the roof on, and they put a big hole through the ceiling, and we get the runaround about it, and we don't know what to do. Every time we call them, they say they're going to come by and send the boss and all that. Get a hold of the boss, and we didn't hear nothing. So I just wonder what do we do now?
Okay.
So your father's passed away, though?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is a piece of property that he owned before, and the work was not done properly?
It's the ceiling.
Right.
They put a new roof on, and the ceiling, we got a big old hole in the ceiling, and we're not getting nothing done.
Right.
To run around.
I got you. Well, it really depend on how the property was held when he passed away. If it was held as tenancies, with he and his wife, or maybe he and you, with what we call right of survivorship, then that property would pass to the other person immediately. As soon as he passed away, that person would be the rightful owner, and then that rightful owner would be able to pursue a claim against the contractor for work that was not done properly on the property or damage to the property. If he did not hold it with right of survivorship with anybody, then you're going to have to open an estate to probate his will, if there is a will. If not, then you have to open an estate to pass the property down to his heirs, which would be his children or his wife, his spouse. So really, it's going to depend. What you can do about it is going to depend upon who is the actual rightful owner of the property at this time.
We got an email question in from Rich. Rich had said, who would be legally responsible for injuries incurred at a company party or as a result of alcohol consumed at that party? Company party. Okay. Is the boss in trouble now?
It's a tricky question. It really is, because the question is it a mandatory company event? Is it something that you're required to attend? And if it is something you're required to attend, alcohol is served, and they don't make, your company doesn't take proper, approach to trying to make sure that, incidents don't happen, then your company could potentially be responsible for your conduct or their conduct for selling alcohol or for serving alcohol.
Okay.
It's a lot different if you're serving alcohol to adults.
Okay.
The law in Alabama places a lot of responsibility on people that are drinking voluntarily.
Okay.
But if you are serving minors,
okay,
the people that you are illegally, even if it's you're not selling it, even if you're just serving it to minors, it can be a much different story.
Any extra tips you need to give people for New Year's Eve parties? If you're throwing a New Year's Eve party at your own house.
I mean, here's the thing: is if you're throwing a New Year's Eve party at your house, typically social hosts don't bear a lot of responsibility in Alabama. But if you're serving minors, it's a real problem.
Okay.
You know, there's a criminal statute, there's a civil responsibility, civil liability. But if you are serving alcohol, somebody that you know is intoxicated and you know they're going to drive away and they have their keys in their hand and you see them, then that can be a problem as well.
Okay. We're getting a lot of property questions tonight. Okay.
Sure.
So let's see if you got this one. When you have a property line dispute, what holds the most weight, the legal description versus the visible monuments? So I'm imagining like those little posts out in the neighborhood that say whatever street it is, versus somebody's got a very distinct description that says this many degrees north, northeast. What do you figure is most important?
These are the cases that judges do not like to hear about, because a lot of the deeds, or the description in the deeds, may not be 100% accurate, and then the surveys can vary for one reason or another, based on that situation. So it really is, it's hard to say what's going to carry the weight. I think that, more than likely what you're going to do is look at and you say, what are the established monuments, and if there is if there's a survey between those 2 points, then that's going to probably, hold the weight more than, somebody saying, well, this line was here, or this comes up to this stump. But you look at these old deeds, it is very, very difficult to determine where lines are.
Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions. It's Ask Us Anything night. Stay with us.